The sound of shattering porcelain barely registered anymore. I'd heard it 3 times this week alone. Are you completely incompetent? Vanessa's voice cut through the dining room like a serrated blade, her manicured hand gesturing toward the cream sauce splattered across the marble floor. Do you understand what you've just done? I understood perfectly. I'd tripped over the extension cord her photographer had left trailing across the walkway during her impromptu lunch photo shoot. The beef Wellington she'd special ordered for her Instagram grid now decorated the floor in an abstract pattern that would have impressed Jackson Pollock. I'll remake it immediately, I said, keeping my voice level. 5 years waiting tables at Aurelio's had taught me when to fight and when to survive. You'll do nothing. Vanessa stood, her chair scraping against the floor. She was beautiful in that manufactured way blonde highlights precise as surgery, skin too smooth to be entirely natural, wearing a dress that cost more than my monthly rent. You're fired. Collect your things and leave. The other servers had stopped moving. The entire restaurant held its breath. Miss Kellerman, perhaps we could... Angelo, the floor manager, started. Did I ask for your input? Vanessa's eyes never left mine. There was something almost gleeful in her expression, like she'd been waiting for this moment. This establishment clearly doesn't understand the caliber of service I expect. I'll be speaking to the owner personally. I should have stayed quiet. Should have nodded and walked away. Instead, I heard myself say, the owner isn't here to take your complaints, but I'm sure he'd be interested to know you've had 4 servers quit in the past month because of your treatment. The silence that followed felt geological. Vanessa's smile turned reptilian. You have no idea who you're speaking to, do you? I know exactly who you are. The words kept coming, 5 years of swallowed insults rising like bile. You're the woman who sends back wine because it's too wet, who makes servers stand while you decide what you want for 20 minutes, who tips 3% and complains the entire time. You're the reason good people leave this industry. I'm Dante Caruso's girlfriend, she said, each word deliberate. 1 phone call, and you'll never work in this city again. The name meant nothing to me then. It should have. Then make your call. I untied my apron, hands steadier than I felt. I'm already fired. I walked out before she could respond, before Angelo could try to fix the unfixable, before the adrenaline flooding my system could turn into something messier. The November air hit me like a slap. I'd just committed professional suicide over a plate of beef Wellington and wounded pride. My phone had exactly $47 in my bank account app. Rent was due in 9 days, and I'd just told off someone apparently important enough to end careers with a phone call. Brilliant, Maya. Absolutely brilliant. I made it 3 blocks before I had to stop, hands braced against a brick wall, trying to remember how to breathe normally. The street smelled like rain and exhaust and the particular desperation of a Thursday afternoon in the financial district. People flowed around me like water around stone, everyone moving with purpose while I stood still and reevaluated every decision that had led to this moment. My phone buzzed. Angelo. I'm sorry, she called the owner. He said to process your termination immediately. I'll make sure you get your last check. I stared at the message until the screen went dark. 24 hours later, I stood in the reception area of Caruso Capital, wearing the only suit I owned, and wondering if I'd completely lost my mind. The headhunter's call had come at 7 that morning. Unusual opportunity, she'd said. New business manager needed immediately. The salary is substantial. But I need to be honest. Maya, the client specifically requested you. Why? I don't ask those questions. Neither should you. The office occupied the 43rd floor of a building that probably cost more than my entire neighborhood. Everything was glass and steel and the kind of minimalist luxury that screamed old money. A receptionist with a face like a Renaissance painting smiled without warmth. Miss Torres? Mr. Caruso will see you now. The name finally clicked. Caruso. As in Dante Caruso. As in Vanessa's boyfriend. I should have turned around. Should have walked straight back to the elevator, and whatever remained of my dignity. But rent was due in 8 days now, and $47 didn't pay for much dignity anyway. The receptionist led me down a hallway lined with art I couldn't name but instinctively knew cost more than college educations. She opened a door to an office that was all dark wood and leather, windows offering a view of the city that made my stomach drop. He stood with his back to me, phone pressed to his ear, speaking Italian in a voice that sounded like smoke and expensive whiskey. No. Tell Marconi if he touches that shipment, I'll personally remove every finger he used to authorize it. A pause. I don't make empty threats, Carlo. You know this. He ended the call and turned. I'd expected someone older. Expected the kind of man who dated women like Vanessa, polished, corporate, probably balding. Dante Caruso was maybe 35, wearing a suit that fit like a second skin, with dark hair that looked permanently disheveled in a way that suggested it cost money to maintain. His face was all sharp angles and old scars, a thin white line through his left eyebrow, another along his jaw. Eyes so dark they looked black in the office lighting. He studied me with the intensity of someone evaluating livestock. "Miss Torres." His voice matched the phone call. Low, controlled, dangerous. The woman who told my girlfriend she tips like a sociopath. I believe I said 3%, I corrected, before I could stop myself. That's just arithmetic. Something flickered in his expression, not quite a smile. "Sit down," he said. "Let's discuss your new position." I didn't sit. "With respect, Mr. Caruso, I don't understand why I'm here." The office felt smaller suddenly, like the walls were inhaling. "Your girlfriend had me fired yesterday. This feels like a trap?" He moved to the bar cart, poured 2 fingers of something amber into crystal glasses. "If I wanted to hurt you, Miss Torres, you wouldn't have made it past the lobby." The casual way he said it made my spine straighten. He offered me a glass. I didn't take it. "Vanessa is no longer relevant to this conversation," he continued, setting both glasses on the desk. "You are here because you possess something I need. I'm a waitress. You were a waitress. You have a bachelor's in business administration from NYU, graduated summa cum laude. You spent 2 years as an assistant manager at Maven Consulting before they folded during the 2022 recession. Since then, you've been working hospitality to pay off student loans while sending money to your mother in Phoenix for her medical bills." The air left my lungs. "How do you? I make it my business to know everything about people I'm considering bringing into my organization." He sat on the edge of his desk, close enough that I could smell his cologne, cedar, and something darker. "You're smart, resourceful, and apparently possess a spine. That combination is rarer than you'd think. What organization?" But I was starting to understand. The art, the casual mention of removing fingers, the way everyone in the building had looked at me like I was walking into a lion's den. What exactly does Caruso Capital do? "We facilitate transactions that require discretion. You're a criminal. I'm a businessman who operates in markets others find uncomfortable." His expression didn't change. "The question isn't what I am, Miss Torres. The question is whether you're desperate enough to work for me anyway." I should have walked out. Every survival instinct I possessed screamed at me to run. But he was right about one thing. I was desperate. 3 months behind on Mom's treatment bills, rent due in 8 days. And something in his absolute certainty made me want to prove him wrong about me. "What's the job?" I asked. "I'm opening a legitimate front, a restaurant and event space in the meatpacking district. I need someone to manage the business operations, handle staffing, oversee finances, someone who understands hospitality but won't ask questions about certain irregular transactions, money laundering, financial optimization." He picked up one of the glasses, took a slow sip. "You'll be paid $200,000 annually, plus benefits. Your mother's medical bills will be covered under the company health plan, backdated to include her existing treatments." The number hit me like a physical blow. "Why me?" My voice came out, rougher than intended. "You could hire someone already in your world, someone who knows how this works. Because everyone already in my world wants something from me, power, protection, a larger cut. You just want to survive." He set down the glass. "That makes you predictable, useful. You don't know anything about me. I know you grew up in a 2-bedroom apartment in Sunset Park. I know your father died when you were 12 and your mother worked 3 jobs to keep you in school. I know you turned down a full ride to Princeton because they couldn't help with her medical bills. I know you're tired, Miss Torres. Tired of fighting and losing." Heat flushed through me, anger and something worse. "Recognition. This is manipulation," I said. "This is reality." He stood, closing the distance between us. He was taller than I'd realized, and up close I could see the violence written into his body scars on his knuckles, a tension in his shoulders like coiled wire. "I'm offering you a nest early. Way out. All you have to do is run a restaurant and look the other way occasionally. And if I say no, then you walk out of here, and we never speak again. No threats, no consequences. You'll just keep drowning in debt while your mother's condition worsens, and you wonder if your pride was worth it." I wanted to hit him, wanted to throw his crystal glass at those windows and watch them both shatter. Instead I asked, "What happened to Vanessa?" For the first time, Something like emotion crossed his face. She's no longer a complication. Did you kill her? No. He almost smiled. I bought out her modeling agency and had them reassign her to Milan. She left this morning. You ended a relationship because she fired a waitress? I ended a relationship because she was useful until she wasn't. His eyes locked on mine. She thought her position made her untouchable. You understand something she never did. Nothing in this world is permanent except the choices that define you. My hands were shaking. I clasped them behind my back so he wouldn't see. I need to think about it. No, you don't. He pulled a folder from his desk, handed it to me. Contract. Read it. Sign it. Start Monday. I opened the folder. The salary number looked even more obscene in print. Below it, a benefits package that included full medical coverage for dependents, housing allowance, security detail. Security detail. Why would I need security? Because anyone working for me becomes a target. He said it like he was discussing weather. You'll have a driver, a guard when necessary. Non-negotiable. You're asking me to become part of something illegal and dangerous. And you're acting like you're doing me a favor. I am doing you a favor. He leaned against the desk again, arms crossed. The world isn't divided into legal and illegal, Miss Torres. It's divided into people who acknowledge what they're willing to do for survival and people who lie to themselves about it. I'm offering you honesty. I looked at the contract, at the number that could save my mother's life, at the door that led back to poverty and helplessness. Monday, I heard myself say. I'll start Monday. His smile was slow, predatory. Welcome to the family, Miss Torres. The restaurant space looked like a bomb site. Exposed brick, half-finished bar, construction equipment scattered across what was supposed to be the dining floor. I stood in the doorway Monday morning, contract signed and in my bag, wondering what exactly I'd agreed to. It has potential. Dante appeared beside me, silent as smoke. I was learning he moved like that present before you registered his approach. It has asbestos and broken dreams, I corrected, stepping over a pile of 2x4s. Then fix it. He handed me a tablet. Budget's unlimited. Timeline is 6 weeks. I want this operational by New Year's. That's impossible. Then you're not as resourceful as I thought. He started to leave. I caught his arm without, thinking then immediately regretted it when his entire body went still. His sleeve was expensive fabric over solid muscle, and touching him felt like touching a live wire. I let go. I need more than a budget and a deadline, I said. I need to know what this place really is. What happens here after hours. What I'm actually covering for. He studied me for a long moment. You want honesty? I want to know if I'm going to prison. Smart question. He gestured to the back office. Come. The office was the only finished room, soundproofed walls, commercial safe built into the floor, security monitors showing every angle of the building. A chess set sat on the desk, mid-game. Dante closed the door. The soundproofing made everything feel underwater. My family controls shipping routes through the port of New York, he said, pouring espresso from a machine that probably cost more than a car. We move goods that can't go through traditional channels. This restaurant will serve two purposes: legitimate revenue and a neutral meeting ground for negotiations that require discretion. Neutral ground for criminals. Neutral ground for businessmen operating outside traditional oversight. He handed me a tiny cup. You'll run the restaurant. I'll handle everything else. The walls are built to conceal a secondary office suite accessible through the wine cellar. You won't go there. You won't acknowledge its existence. What about law enforcement? We have arrangements. He sat on the edge of the desk, that same casual posture that somehow made him more threatening. Your job is to make this place successful enough that no one questions the revenue. Everything else is my concern. I sipped the espresso. It was perfect, bitter and smooth, and probably illegal to be that good. Why chess? I asked, gesturing to the board. Something shifted in his expression. You play? My father taught me. Before, I caught myself. A long time ago. Dante moved a night, studying. The board like it held state secrets. Chess is about control, seeing patterns others miss, sacrificing pieces that seem valuable to protect what actually matters. And what actually matters? The king. Everything else is expendable. I looked at the board at the way he'd positioned his pieces in a defensive formation that could pivot to offense in 2 moves. You're losing. His laugh was unexpected, almost genuine. Am I? Your opponent has positional advantage. You're focused on protecting your king, but you've left your queen exposed. The queen can protect herself. He moved another piece, a pawn advancing into what looked like certain sacrifice. Sometimes the appearance of vulnerability is strategy, and sometimes it's just a mistake. Show me. I should have maintained professional distance. But the game called to something I'd forgotten. I missed the clean logic of it. The way problems had solutions if you just thought hard enough. I sat across from him, studied the board, moved his queen to a position that simultaneously protected his king and threatened my opponent's bishop. There, I said. Now you have options. Dante's eyes hadn't left my face. Interesting. The move? That you see defense and offense as compatible strategies. He reached out, adjusted my collar where it had folded wrong, the gesture so casual and intimate that I froze. Most people think you have to choose. His fingers brushed my neck. Just a moment. Just enough to make my pulse spike. He pulled back, expression unreadable. The contractor arrives in an hour, he said, voice back to business. Walk him through your vision for the space. I want Art Deco meets industrial, expensive but not pretentious. Comfortable enough for legitimate diners, impressive enough for my other guests. You want me to design this? I want you to build something worth protecting. He stood. That's what you do, isn't it, Miss Torres? Protect things that matter. He left, before I could respond, taking the warmth of the room with him. I sat alone with the chessboard, staring at the move I'd made, the queen repositioned, powerful and exposed all at once. My phone buzzed. Mom, the hospital called. Insurance approved the new treatment. They said it's already paid for. Maya, what did you do? I closed my eyes, feeling the weight of the choice settle into my bones. Just accepted a new job, better benefits. Don't worry. The contractor arrived exactly on time, a bear of a man named Sal, who took one look at the space and whistled. Mr. Caruso wants this done in 6 weeks? Yes. He always won impossible things, but Sal was smiling. Good thing I like challenges. We walked the space, and I found myself sketching ideas, booths along the exposed brick, brass fixtures, a bar that could double as a stage for jazz nights. The vision came together like muscle memory, pieces falling into place. By evening, I'd assembled a team. Sal for construction, a designer I'd worked with years ago, a chef who owed me favors. The space transformed from wreckage to possibility. Dante returned as I was locking up. You've been busy, he observed. You said 6 weeks. I'm not wasting time. He handed me something, a key on a simple ring. Your apartment. 2 blocks from here. Fully furnished. I didn't agree to. You work for me now. That means you live somewhere I can protect you. His tone left no room for argument. The building has security. You'll have privacy, but you'll be safe. I don't need a keeper. No. His smile was sharp. You need an employer who understands the value of his investments. He walked away, leaving me holding a key to a life I'd never agreed to and couldn't afford to refuse. The apartment was a cage made of luxury. Hardwood floors, exposed brick, furniture that looked like it belonged in architectural magazines, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the meatpacking district, close enough to see the restaurant, construction site, a kitchen I'd never use, a bed too large for one person, and everywhere the sense of being watched. I found the cameras on day 2. Small, discreet, positioned to cover entry points. When I confronted Dante about it, he didn't even pretend to apologize. Security, he said, like that explained everything. Surveillance. Protection. He was doing that thing again, standing too close, voice too calm. You work for me now, Maya. That makes you valuable. Valuable things get stolen. I'm not a thing. No, you're an investment I intend to protect whether you like it or not. 2 weeks into the job, I understood why he was paranoid. The first incident happened at the restaurant. I was meeting with the wine distributor when 2 men in expensive suits walked in without knocking. They had the look of people accustomed to doors opening for them, and the kind of scars that suggested what happened when doors didn't. You Caruso's new girl? The taller one smiled without warmth. I'm the restaurant manager. Same thing. He picked up a paint sample, studied it. Nice place. Be a shame if something happened to it before opening. My pulse kicked up, but I kept my voice level. If you're here to threaten me, you should know Mr. Caruso doesn't respond well to threats. We're not threatening. We're educating. The second man circled the bar, running his hand along the unfinished wood. See, your boss has been expanding into territories that don't belong to him. We're just reminding him that expansion has costs. Then tell him yourself. We are telling him, through you. The taller one pulled out a lighter, flicked it open. The flame danced in the dim light. That's when Luca appeared. I hadn't even known he was there. Dante's head of security, built like a professional fighter, silent as death. He was just suddenly present, gun visible under his jacket, expression flat. "Gentlemen," Luca said softly, "you're trespassing." The mood shifted instantly. The two men looked at each other, some silent communication passing between them. "Tell Caruso, the Vitali family sends their regards," the taller one said, pocketing the lighter. "And that some bridges shouldn't be burned." They left. Luca followed them out, phone already to his ear. I stood in the half-finished restaurant, hands shaking, realizing exactly what I'd become part of. Dante arrived 30 minutes later. "Are you hurt?" First thing he said, hands gripping my shoulders, eyes scanning me for damage. "I'm fine. They were just, I know what they were doing." His jaw was tight, knuckles white. Luca briefed me. "Who are the Vitalas?" "Competitors." He released me, paced to the windows. "My family controls the ports. They control waste management and construction. Our territories have overlapped recently. And I'm leveraged now. You're under my protection." He turned, and something in his expression made my breath catch. "Which means you're safer than Tega. You've ever been, but also more visible than you'd like. I'm sorry. I should have warned you this might happen." It was the first time I'd heard him apologize for anything. "What happens now?" "Now I make it clear that touching you is suicide." He pulled out his phone, typed something. "And you get additional security. I already have Luca. You get Marco too. And you don't go anywhere without clearing it with them first. That's prison. That's survival." He moved closer, voice dropping. "Maya, the Vitales are small-time, more bark than bite. But me protecting you publicly makes you a target for people who are neither. You need to understand what you've walked into." "I'm starting to." Something flickered in his eyes, regret, maybe, or calculation. "If you want out, tell me now. I'll set you up somewhere safe, cover your mother's bills, and we never speak again." I should have said yes, should have taken the exit he was offering. Instead, I signed a contract. Contracts can be broken. Not by me. I met his gaze. "I don't quit." His smile was slow, dangerous. "No, I'm learning you don't." That night, I found him at the restaurant after hours. I'd come back to review supplier contracts, hadn't expected anyone else there. He was in the unfinished dining room, surrounded by blueprints and fabric samples, the chess set from his office now sitting on a makeshift table. "You're still here," I said. "So are you." I sat across from him, studied the board. He'd set up a new game, different opening, more aggressive. "Your move," he said. I advanced a pawn. "Why do you come here? You have people for this. I like to see things built." He moved his knight. Creation is rare in my world. Most of what I do involves managing entropy. That's a poetic way to describe crime. Crime is just business without permission slips. He leaned back, watching me. "You're good at this, the restaurant." "Better than I expected." "You expected me to fail?" "I expected you to be competent." "You're more than that. You see the whole picture, how design affects flow, how menu psychology works, how to manage contractors without alienating them. You're building something that might actually work." Was that a compliment? It was an observation. I moved my bishop, threatening his queen. "The Vitales. Will they come back?" "Probably." He didn't seem concerned. "But next time they'll know the cost." "Which is—" "I don't make threats, Maya. I make demonstrations." The way he said it made something cold settle in my chest. This was the reality, not the chess games or the carefully managed restaurant project. This violence lurking under expensive suits and polite conversation. "Checkmate in 7 moves," I said quietly, seeing the pattern on the board. He studied it, then laughed genuine surprise. 6, actually. You missed the queen sacrifice." "I don't sacrifice queens." "Then you'll never win against me." He stood, offered his hand. "Come on, I'll drive you. Home." "I have a driver. Tonight, you have me." I took his hand. His palm was warm, scarred, steady, and I realized I was in much more danger than the Vitales could ever pose. Dante's car was the kind of machine that purred like a predator. Black, expensive, probably bulletproof. The interior smelled like leather and his cologne, and the silence between us felt thick enough to cut. "You're quiet," he observed, navigating through late-night traffic. I'm thinking, dangerous habit. So is working for you, apparently. He smiled at that, a real smile. Not the calculated ones I'd seen him use on others. Having regrets? Having second thoughts. There's a difference. We stopped at a red light. The city glowed around us, neon and headlights, and the particular energy of New York after dark. I could see his profile in the dashboard light, the sharp angle of his jaw, the scar that ran through his eyebrow. "How'd you get that?" I asked, gesturing to the scar. "Which one?" "Start with the eyebrow." "Broken bottle." I was 17, stupid enough to think I was invincible. The light changed. My father was teaching me that leadership requires visible sacrifices. "He gave you the scar?" "No. He put me in the position where someone else would. Matter of fact, like discussing weather. I learned the lesson. That's abuse. That's tradition." He glanced at me. "My world doesn't operate on kindness, Maya. It operates on strength, loyalty, and the willingness to do what others won't." "And what won't you do?" The question hung between us. He was quiet for 3 blocks. "I won't hurt children. I won't traffic people. I won't touch drugs." His hands tightened on the wheel. "Everything else is negotiable." That's a very thin moral line. It's the only one I have. We pulled up to my building, my cage. I'd started thinking of it, but Dante didn't unlock the doors. "The Vitales aren't the only problem," he said. "There's someone in my organization feeding information to the FBI. Someone close. Why are you telling me this? Because I need you to be careful. Trust no one except Luca and Marco. If someone asks about me, about the restaurant, about anything that seems off, you come to me immediately. You think they might approach me? I think you're the newest piece on the board. That makes you useful to anyone trying to understand my strategy." He turned to face me fully. "These people will be friendly, charming. They'll offer you deals, protection, immunity. They'll make working with them sound reasonable. And if they do, you smile. You say nothing, and you tell me everything." His eyes were black in the dim light. "I can protect you from other criminals, Maya. I can't protect you from your own decisions. I'm not going to betray you, not intentionally, but you're not built for this world. You still think in terms of right and wrong, legal and illegal. Those categories don't exist where I operate. Then why hire me? Because that moral certainty makes you predictable, trustworthy." He reached out, tucked a strand of hair behind my ear, the gesture too intimate for a boss, too casual for the tension building between us. And because I needed someone who sees me as human instead of useful. His fingers lingered against my cheek. I should have pulled away. I didn't. "This isn't professional," I whispered. "No." His thumb traced my jawline. "It's not. Dante, I know." He pulled back, unlocked the doors. "Go inside, Maya. Before I do something we'll both regret." I climbed out on shaking legs, feeling his eyes on me until I was safely in the building. The next 3 weeks blurred together in a haze of construction deadlines, permit applications, and the constant awareness of being watched. Marco shadowed me everywhere, built like a refrigerator, silent as a ghost. Luca appeared at random intervals, always scanning for threats. The restaurant took shape. Art Deco chandeliers, vintage brass fixtures, a bar that gleamed like old money. The kitchen equipment arrived, top of the line. I hired a staff servers I'd worked with before, a sommelier from my Maven consulting days, a host who understood the kind of discretion Dante's other guests would require. And through it all, Dante was there. Not constantly, not even frequently, but always at the moments that mattered, when the designer tried to cheap out on materials, when the contractor suggested cutting corners, when I needed someone to simply see what I was building. He'd appear in the doorway, assess the situation in seconds, and handle it with surgical efficiency. "The designer is stealing from you," he said one afternoon, showing me invoices that didn't match receipts. "How did you—" "I pay attention." He made a phone call. The designer was gone by evening, replaced by someone who charged less and delivered more. When the city inspector showed up demanding bribes, Dante materialized from nowhere, had a 5-minute conversation in Italian, and the inspector left approving everything. "What did you say to him?" I asked, I reminded him that some people are protected. By you. By the understanding that harming them would be expensive. We fell into a rhythm. I'd work all day, building the restaurant into something beautiful and functional. Dante would appear in the evenings, and we'd play chess in the back office while reviewing progress. The games became our language strategies within strategies, small reveals masked as moves. You're getting better, he said one night, studying a position where I'd trapped his king in a corner. You're getting predictable. Am I? He sacrificed his queen, a move I hadn't seen coming, and suddenly I was the one trapped. Never assume you know my patterns, Maya. Is this still about chess? It's about survival. He stood, poured wine from a bottle he'd brought, something Italian and probably illegal. You're smart, capable, and you're building exactly what I needed. But you're also starting to trust me. That's a problem? It's dangerous. He handed me a glass. I'm not a good man. I've done things that would horrify you. People who trust me end up disappointed or dead. Then why tell me to be careful around others? Why protect me? Because you're mine to protect. The possessiveness in his voice made my pulse spike. And because I'm selfish enough to want you close even though I shouldn't. The wine tasted like smoke and cherries and bad decisions. This can't happen, I said. I know. He kissed me anyway. The kiss was nothing like I'd imagined. Not gentle. Not tentative. Dante kissed like he did everything else, with absolute certainty and controlled violence. His hand cupped the back of my neck, holding me in place, while his mouth demanded things I didn't know how to give. I should have pushed him away. Instead, I pulled him closer. He tasted like wine and danger, and when his teeth caught my lower lip, I made a sound I'd never heard myself make before. His other hand found my waist, fingers spreading across my ribs like he was claiming territory. Then he pulled back, breathing hard, forehead pressed against mine. This is a mistake, he said. I know. I implore you. I'm using you to legitimize criminal activity. This is every kind of wrong. I know that too. His laugh was rough. Then why aren't you running? Because I stopped pretending I wanted to 3 weeks ago. He kissed me again, slower this time, deeper, like he was memorizing the taste of me. When he finally pulled away, his eyes were dark with something that looked like pain. I can't offer you normal, Maya. I can't give you safety or a future that doesn't involve violence. If you stay close to me, you'll become a target, a liability, someone people will try to hurt to get to me. I'm already a target. You said so yourself. Working for me makes you valuable. This, he gestured between us, makes you vulnerable. Maybe I'm tired of being careful. You don't mean that. Don't tell me what I mean. I stepped back, needing distance to think clearly. You've spent weeks showing me your world, Dante. The violence, the control, the impossible moral lines. You think I don't understand what I'm choosing? You understand the concept. You haven't lived the reality. Then show me. His expression went carefully blank. What? You keep telling me how dangerous your life is. Show me. Stop treating me like I'm made of glass. Maya, I'm not asking to attend to execution. I'm asking you to stop lying to me about what this is. He studied me for a long moment, something calculating moving behind his eyes. Then he pulled out his phone, typed a message. Get your coat, he said. There's something you should see. 20 minutes later, we were in a warehouse in Red Hook that smelled like salt water and rust. Luca met us at the entrance, expression grim. He's in the back, Luca said. Still hasn't talked. Dante nodded, took my hand. His palm was warm, steady. Last chance to change your mind. I don't change my mind. The back room was concrete and shadows. A man sat tied to a chair, face swollen, blood on his shirt. 2 of Dante's men stood guard, not Marco or Luca, but others I'd seen at the restaurant. The man in the chair looked up when we entered. His eyes went wide when he saw me. Bringing your girlfriend to watch Caruso? That's cold even for you. Dante's grip on my hand tightened. Mr. Rossini here has been stealing from me. Small amounts, carefully hidden. He thought I wouldn't notice. It was just skimming, Rossini said, spitting blood. Everyone does it. Everyone doesn't work for me. Dante released my hand, walked a slow circle around the chair. You took 40,000 over 6 months. That's not skimming. That's theft. I have debts. We all have debts. Dante's voice went cold. The difference is, I pay mine. He pulled out a knife, nothing dramatic, just a simple folding blade. The metal caught the light. Wait. Rossini struggled against the ropes. Wait, please. I can pay it back. With interest? Yes, whatever you want. Dante looked at me. What do you think, Maya? Should I accept repayment? The question was a test. I understood that immediately. He wanted to see if I'd flinch, if I'd beg for mercy, if I'd prove I was too soft for his world. What's the normal consequence? I asked, keeping my voice level even though my heart was trying to break through my ribs. For theft? I take a finger for every 10,000 stolen. He'd leave here with 6 fingers. Rossini made a strangled sound. And if he pays it back, I continued, then he's still a thief, just a solvent one. Dante opened the knife, tested the edge. The punishment isn't about the money, Maya. It's about the message. What message? That stealing from me has consequences that can't be bought off. I looked at Rossini, at his swollen face, his terrified eyes, the way he was shaking. He was someone's son, maybe someone's father. A person who'd made a stupid choice and was about to pay for it in blood. But I also thought about the Vitalis, about the casual way they'd threatened to burn down my restaurant, about the world Dante operated in, where weakness got you killed and mercy was exploitation waiting to happen. He stole from you, I said quietly. He knew the rules. Dante's expression didn't change, but something flickered in his eyes. Are you sure? No, but you asked what I think, and I think you don't build empires by letting people steal from you. He nodded slowly, then turned back to Rossini. You heard the lady. What happened next took 90 seconds. I didn't look away, refused to flinch, while Rossini screamed, and Dante's men held him still and the knife did its work. When it was over, Dante's hands were bloody, and Rossini had passed out from pain. Get him to a hospital, Dante ordered. Make sure he understands this was mercy. Outside, in the cold air, I leaned against the car and tried to remember how to breathe normally. Dante stood beside me, silent. You're not going to ask if I'm okay, I finally said. You're not okay. That would be a stupid question. You did that to teach me something. I did that because it needed doing. You being there was... He paused. Educational for both of us. And what did you learn? He turned to me, cupped my face in hands that still had blood on them. That you're either exactly what I need or the worst mistake I've ever made. Which is it? I don't know yet. He kissed me against the car, and I kissed him back, tasting violence and honesty, and something that felt like falling. The restaurant opened on a Friday in December, 3 days before Christmas. Everything was perfect. The chandeliers glowed like captured stars. The bar shone. The kitchen hummed with expensive efficiency. Reservations were booked solid for 3 months, half legitimate diners, half names I'd learned not to Google. I stood in the dining room at 6 p.m., wearing a black dress Dante had sent over that morning, watching the first guests arrive. Politicians, bankers, people whose faces I recognized from news articles about corruption scandals. They smiled and shook hands and pretended this was just dinner. Dante appeared at my elbow, devastating in a suit that probably cost more than a car. You did this, he said quietly. This is yours. It's ours. No. His hand found the small of my back, hidden from view but burning through the fabric. I gave you money and space. You built something worth protecting. The evening flowed like wine. Dinner service was flawless. The jazz trio I'd hired played Coltrane and Ellington. In the hidden back office, I knew other meetings were happening. The real reason for this place, but here in the light, everything looked legitimate. Almost. I was reviewing the wine inventory when I felt eyes on me. A man at the bar, mid-50s, expensive watch, face eye, didn't recognize. He caught my eye and smiled. Impressive operation, he said when I approached. You must be Maya Torres. Can I help you with something? Just admiring the work. It's rare to see someone with your talent in... He gestured vaguely. An establishment like this. Warning bells. Everything about him screamed. Law enforcement, the careful phrasing. The watch that was nice but not too nice. The way he studied everything like he was cataloging details. We're very proud of what we've built, I said neutrally. I'm sure you are. Though I imagine the real business happens elsewhere. He sipped his drink. I'm David Chen, FBI. And before you panic, I'm not here officially, just having a drink at a new restaurant. My pulse spiked. If you're not here officially, then this is just a conversation. Off the record. He slid a card across the bar. I know who you work for, Miss Torres. I know what this place really is. And I know you're not like the others in Caruso's. organization. You don't know anything about me. I know you have a sick mother. I know you're drowning in debt. I know Dante Caruso offered you a lifeline, and you took it because you're desperate, not criminal. His voice was kind, understanding. I know you're in over your head. I should ask you to leave. You should, but you won't, because part of you knows I'm right. He leaned closer. We're building a case against the Caruso family. When it comes down, and it will come down, anyone in the blast radius goes with them, unless they're smart enough to cooperate first. Are you offering me a deal? I'm offering you a future that doesn't end in prison. He tapped the card. Think about it. When you're ready to talk, call me. We protect people who help us, Miss Torres. We can protect your mother too. He left before I could respond, disappearing into the crowd. I stood at the bar, his card burning in my pocket, feeling the walls close in. Dante found me 20 minutes later, in the wine cellar, sitting on a crate and trying to remember how to breathe. What happened? He crouched in front of me, hands on my knees. Maya, talk to me. I should have told him. Should have followed his instructions about reporting everything. Instead, I said, nothing. Just overwhelmed. First night. He studied my face, looking for lies. You're sure? I'm sure. He didn't believe me. I could see it in his eyes, but he didn't push. Come upstairs. There's someone I want you to meet. The someone was his uncle, a man in his 60s with Dante's eyes and a smile that never reached them. Carmine Caruso, head of the family, the man who actually ran the empire Dante was building. So this is the girl causing all the fuss, Carmine said, taking my hand. His grip was strong, calculating. My nephew speaks highly of you. Uncle. Dante's voice carried a warning. Relax, boy. I'm being nice. Carmine winked at me. You've done good work here. Very convincing. Almost makes me believe this is a real restaurant. It is a real restaurant, I said, with some very special guests. He gestured to the dining room. But that's the beauty of it, yes? Hiding in plain sight. My nephew learned that from me. Uncle Carmine was just leaving, Dante said tightly. So protective. Carmine clapped Dante's shoulder. Just remember, nephew, loyalty is everything in this family. You teach your people that, or they learn it the hard way. He left, taking several guests with him. Dante's jaw was clenched. Ignore him. Is he right? About loyalty being everything? In my world? Yes. He pulled me close, voice dropping. Maya, if something happened, if someone approached you or threatened you, you'd tell me, right? The card felt like fire in my pocket. Of course, I lied. That night, alone in my apartment, I stared at David Chen's card for 3 hours. He was right about everything. I was in over my head. I was protecting a criminal organization. When the FBI came down on Dante and they would, I'd go to prison too. But I also thought about Dante's hands cupping my face. About the way he'd built me an exit and I'd refused it. About the restaurant we'd created together. This beautiful thing born from violence and need. I thought about Rossini's screams. About the Vitali's threats. About the way Dante kissed me like I was precious and dangerous all at once. At midnight, I made my choice. I called the number on the card. Mr. Chen? It's Maya Torres. I need to talk. Across town, in his office, Dante stared at a report Luca had just delivered. Security footage from the restaurant, showing Maya talking to a man at the bar. Facial recognition had identified him in seconds. FBI. Special Agent David Chen. Organized Crime Division. Dante's phone showed Maya's location still in her apartment, awake despite the hour. What do you want me to do? Luca asked quietly. Dante looked at the photo of Maya, beautiful and terrified, talking to the man who could destroy everything. Nothing, he said finally. Not yet, but his hand was already moving toward his gun. The meeting was set for a coffee shop in Chelsea. Neutral ground, Chen had said. Public enough to be safe. I sat at a corner table at 7 a.m., 3 hours before the restaurant opened, hands wrapped around a cup I couldn't drink. Every person who entered made my pulse spike. Chen arrived exactly on time, carrying his own coffee, wearing the kind of casual clothes that probably cost less than Dante's socks. Miss Torres, thank you for coming. I haven't agreed to anything. I know, that's why we're just talking. He sat across from me, pulled out a folder. Before we begin, I need you to understand something. We're not asking you to testify against Caruso. We're not asking you to wear a wire or gather evidence. We just need you to answer some questions that will help us establish patterns. That's still cooperation. It's conversation. He opened the folder, showed me photos. Dante, Luca, Marco, Uncle Carmine. Others I recognized from the restaurant. How often do these people meet at your establishment? I don't track that. But you see them. You interact with them. You manage the reservation system. His voice stayed gentle, reasonable. We're not trying to trap you, Maya. We're trying to prevent violence. The Caruso family is at war with the Vitalis. People are going to die. You can help us stop that. By betraying the man who gave me a chance when no one else would? By protecting yourself from a criminal who's using you. Chen leaned forward. Let me be clear about what happens when we take down Dante Caruso. Everyone connected to his operations gets charged. That includes you. Money laundering, racketeering, conspiracy. You're looking at 10 to 15 years minimum. My hands started shaking. Unless you help us first. Then you get immunity, witness protection if needed, and we make sure your mother's medical care continues. We can even help you start. Over somewhere safe. He pushed a document across the table. This is a proffer agreement. Sign it. Tell us what you know, and you walk away clean. I stared at the paper, at the promise of safety, of a future that didn't end in handcuffs. I need time to think. You have 24 hours. After that, the offer expires and we move forward without you. He stood, left the folder on the table. I know this is hard, but you're not protecting Dante by staying silent. You're just making it worse for yourself when everything falls apart. He left me alone with the folder, the agreement, and the weight of a choice I'd already made the moment I called him. I went to the restaurant on autopilot, unlocked the doors, reviewed prep lists, pretended everything was normal while the world crumbled around me. Dante found me in the office at noon. We need to talk, he said, closing the door. My heart stopped. About what? About the FBI agent you met with this morning. The room tilted. How did you? I have people everywhere, Maya, including a barista at that coffee shop who recognizes federal agents on site. He sat on the edge of the desk, expression unreadable. Want to tell me what David Chen wanted? I could have lied. Should have lied. He wants me to cooperate. Answer questions about the restaurant. About who comes here. About your operations. And he gave me 24 hours to decide. Dante was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was soft, dangerous. Are you going to do it? I don't know. That's not an answer. It's the only one I have. I met his eyes. You knew this was a possibility when you hired me. You said I wasn't built for your world. You were right. So you're going to betray me. I'm trying to survive. The words burst out of me. You've been telling me from day one that this life is dangerous, that I'm a target, that people I work with can't be trusted. Why are you surprised that I'm scared? I'm not surprised you're scared. I'm surprised you're considering working with people who will use you and throw you away the second you're no longer useful. He stood, paced to the window. The FBI doesn't protect people like you, Maya. They make promises they can't keep. And what do? Kill people who steal from you? Threaten anyone who gets in your way? You're asking me to choose between prison and becoming an accomplice to violence. I'm asking you to trust me. Why should I? He turned, and the raw emotion in his face nearly broke me. Because I care about you more than I should. Because you're the first person in 10 years who's looked at me like I'm human. Because the thought of you in prison or dead or disappeared into witness protection makes me want to burn the world down. That's not love, Dante. That's obsession. Maybe, but it's real. He crossed to me, gripped my shoulders. If you cooperate with the FBI, they'll wire you. They'll send you back here to gather evidence. And eventually, someone in my organization will figure it out and kill you before I can stop them. That's not a threat, it's a fact. Then what am I supposed to do? You trust me to handle this. You give me Chen's information, and I make him disappear from your life. Make him disappear? You mean kill him. I mean remove the threat. He's a federal agent. He's a threat to both of us. Dante's hands tightened. Maya, listen to me. The FBI is building a case that won't succeed. I have judges, lawyers, people in their own organization feeding me information. Chen is a dead end. But if you help him, if you give them anything they can use, you become a liability I can't afford to protect. The words were a knife. Are you threatening me? I'm being honest with you. Something I've been since we met. He released me, stepped back. You have a choice. Work with Chen and probably die. Stay loyal to me and probably survive. Either way, Your life is never going back to normal. There has to be another option. There isn't. He moved to the door, paused. You have until tomorrow. Choose wisely. He left me alone with the weight of impossible decisions. I sat in the office for hours, staring at nothing, until my phone rang. Unknown number. Miss Torres? It's Chen. I'm calling because I need you to know something. We just arrested Luca Moretti. He's agreed to cooperate. Your window for immunity is closing fast. The line went dead. I found Dante in his real office, the one hidden behind the wine cellar, the one I'd agreed never to enter. He looked up when I walked in, unsurprised, like he'd been waiting. Luca's been arrested, I said without preamble. I know. It's not real. Chen said. He's cooperating. Chen is lying to pressure you. Dante gestured to the monitors on his wall. Multiple screens showed security feeds. I recognized the restaurant, my apartment building, the coffee shop where I'd met Chen. Luca hasn't been arrested. He's at home with his daughter, watching cartoons. The FBI is bluffing. I stared at the screens, at the evidence of just how much Dante saw. You've been watching me. I've been protecting you. By spying on me? By making sure I know when threats approach. He stood, came around the desk. Maya, I told you from the beginning everyone in my world is either an asset or a liability. I need to know which one you are. And have you decided? Not yet. He was close now. Close enough that I could see the exhaustion in his eyes, the tension in his shoulders. Tell me about your meeting with Chen. Everything. So I did. The proffer agreement, the promises of immunity, the 24-hour deadline. Dante listened without interrupting, expression growing darker with each detail. When I finished, he poured 2 glasses of whiskey, handed me one. He's good, Dante admitted. Using your mother as leverage, giving you a deadline, pretending Luca flipped. Textbook pressure tactics. What if he's telling the truth about the case? Against you? Then it won't be the first one I've beaten. He drained his glass. The FBI has been trying to take down my family for 30 years. They get close, we adapt. This isn't new. But I am. I set down my untouched whiskey. I'm the weakness in your system. The person who doesn't belong, who might break under pressure. Chen knows that. Your uncle knows that. Everyone knows that except apparently you. I know exactly what you are. His voice went soft, dangerous. You're the woman who rebuilt my restaurant into something beautiful. Who plays chess like she's trying to understand the universe? Who stood in that warehouse and didn't flinch when I showed her what I'm capable of? You're not weak, Maya. You're terrified and pretending to be strong, which is the most dangerous thing in the world. Then what do you want from me? I want you to choose me. The words were raw, stripped of his usual control. Not because I'm blackmailing you or threatening you or paying you. Because you want to. That's not fair. Nothing about this is fair. He moved closer, crowded me against the desk. I'm a criminal. You're a civilian. I dragged into my world because I needed someone competent and didn't care about the cost. I've put your life in danger, made you complicit in crimes, and now I'm asking you to risk prison for me. It's the least fair thing I've ever done. Then why do it? Because I'm selfish. Because somewhere between chess games and watching you build something from nothing, I started wanting you more than I want safety. Because the idea of you cooperating with the FBI and disappearing into witness protection makes me want to burn down everything I've built just to find you again. His confession hit me like a physical blow. That's insane, I whispered. Yes. He cupped my face, thumbs tracing my cheekbones. But it's honest. I don't lie to you, Maya. I never have. So I'm telling you the truth. If you cooperate with Chen, I'll lose you one way or another. And I'm not ready for that. What happens if I stay? Then we fight the FBI together. We make the restaurant so legitimate that their case falls apart. We build something they can't touch. His forehead pressed against mine. And eventually, maybe, we figure out what this is between us. It's a disaster waiting to happen. Probably. His smile was sad. But it's ours. I should have walked away. Should have called Chen, signed the agreement, taken the safe option. Instead, I kissed him. This time there was no hesitation, no pulling back. Dante kissed me like I was oxygen and he'd been drowning, hands tangling in my hair, body pressing me against the desk. I matched him touch for touch, bite for bite, pouring every confused emotion into the connection between us. When we finally broke apart, both breathing hard, He rested his forehead against my shoulder. "Tell me you'll stay," he murmured against my skin. "I'll stay. Tell me you won't cooperate with Chen." "I won't cooperate with Chen." "Tell me," his voice cracked. "Tell me I'm not destroying you." I pulled back, made him look at me. "You're not destroying me, Dante. I'm choosing this. Choosing you. Even though it's stupid and dangerous, and probably going to end badly. Definitely going to end badly. Then we'll burn together." He kissed me again, slower this time, like he was memorizing the moment. Then he pulled out his phone, made a call. "Luca, I need you to handle something for me. Immediately." The next morning, David Chen's car exploded in his driveway. He survived barely. 3rd-degree burns, broken ribs, ruptured eardrum. The investigation found evidence of mob involvement, and Chen was immediately pulled from the Caruso case and reassigned to a desk while he recovered. I watched the news with my heart in my throat, knowing exactly what had happened, what Dante had done. For me. He found me in the restaurant office that evening, holding a glass of wine and trying to process that. I'd just become an accessory to attempted murder. "He'll live," Dante said quietly. "I made sure of that. But he won't be bothering you again. You almost killed a federal agent. I protected what's mine. No apology, no justification, just fact. I should have been horrified. Instead, I set down the wine, crossed to him, and pulled him into a kiss that tasted like power and choice and the point of no return. "I'm yours," I whispered against his mouth. "Yes," he said. "You are." 3 months later, the restaurant was thriving. Michelin was considering us for a star. Food critics wrote glowing reviews. The legitimate business was so successful that even the FBI had trouble justifying continued surveillance. But in the hidden office, in the meetings that happened after midnight, Dante's real empire continued to grow. I managed both sides now. The public face and the private reality. It should have torn me apart, the cognitive dissonance, the constant lying, the knowledge that I was facilitating crimes. Instead, I felt more alive than I had in years. "You're smiling," Dante observed one evening. We were in his penthouse, a space I'd started spending more nights in than my own apartment. "That's dangerous. Everything about this is dangerous." I was reviewing invoices, legitimate and otherwise, tracking 2 sets of books with the same efficiency I'd once used for legal businesses. I'm just accepting it. "No regrets? No regrets?" "About Chen?" "Daily." The agent had survived, but never returned to organized crime cases. Last I'd heard, he was training recruits at Quantico. "About this?" "Not yet." Dante pulled me away from the paperwork, into his lap. We'd fallen into this casual intimacy that felt more dangerous than the crimes we committed together. "Uncle Carmine wants to meet with you tomorrow," he said, fingers tracing patterns on my hip. "Why?" "Because you've proven yourself useful. He wants to discuss expanding your role." "Expanding how?" "He wants you to manage operations for 3 more establishments. Legitimate fronts, all of them, but with the same dual purpose as the restaurant. It was a promotion, a deeper commitment, a point of no return I'd already passed, but could still see in the rearview mirror. "What do you want?" I asked. "I want you safe, which means I want you valuable enough that no one dares touch you." His arms tightened around me. "But I also want you happy, and I'm not sure those things are compatible anymore. I'm happy now. You're surviving. There's a difference." I turned in his lap, straddled him, forced him to look at me. "I'm happy now. With you. Building things that matter even if they're built on lies. Stop waiting for me to break. You're too smart not to break eventually. Then trust me to know when I'm breaking." I kissed him softly. "I'm not the waitress you hired anymore, Dante. I'm not the woman who thought in categories like legal and illegal. You wanted me to choose, I chose. Stop second-guessing." He studied my face like he was looking for cracks. "My father used to say that everyone has a breaking point. The key to power is knowing exactly where that point is and never quite reaching it." Sounds exhausting. It is. His smile was tired. "But it keeps people loyal. I'm not loyal because you're managing my breaking point. I'm loyal because I want to be. That's worse." "Why?" "Because it means I have something to lose." Before I could respond, his phone rang. "Luca." Dante answered, listened, his expression going cold. "When? How many?" "I'm on my way." He stood, setting me aside gently. "The Vitales just hit one of our shipments. 3 men dead, $500,000 in merchandise gone. The words were a splash of ice water. What do you need? I need you to stay here. Lock the doors. Don't answer for anyone except me or Luca. He was already moving, pulling on his jacket, checking his gun. This is about to get messy. Dante, I know. He kissed me hard, fast. I'll be back before morning, promise. He left, taking his security team with him. I sat in the penthouse alone, watching the city lights, waiting for news of violence I couldn't prevent. The call came at 3 a.m. Luca, we need you at the warehouse. Now. What happened? Just come. And Maya? Bring the medical kit from Dante's office. My hands shook as I grabbed supplies, as the driver rushed me through empty streets. As we pulled up to the Red Hook warehouse where I'd once watched Dante take Rossini's fingers. Inside, chaos. Blood on the concrete. Bodies covered with tarps. And Dante, sitting against a wall, hand pressed to his side, shirt soaked red. It's not as bad as it looks, he said when he saw me. You're bleeding through your fingers. Flesh wound. Mostly. Luca helped me cut away Dante's shirt. The bullet had gone through his side in and out, missing vital organs but leaving a mess. I'd never done field medicine before, had no idea what I was doing, but my hands moved anyway. Cleaning, packing, bandaging. The Vitalas? I asked. Handled. Dante's voice was strained. Won't be a problem anymore. I didn't ask what handled meant. Didn't want to know. You need a hospital. Can't. Too many questions. He caught my hand. It's okay. We have a doctor who handles this. He's on his way. You could have died. But I didn't. He pulled me close despite the pain it must have caused. And now you know this is what the life actually looks like. Not chess games and restaurants. Blood and violence and wondering if I'll make it home. I should have been horrified. Should have finally reached my breaking point. Instead, I held him tighter. Don't do that again. Can't promise that. Then promise you'll try. I can promise that. His lips found my forehead. Thank you for coming. Where else would I be? The doctor arrived, stitched Dante up properly, gave him antibiotics and pain medication and instructions he'd probably ignore. By dawn, we were back at the penthouse. Dante dosed with enough painkillers to sleep, me watching him breathe and wondering how I'd become someone who found comfort in the survival of a criminal. 2 weeks later, Uncle Carmine offered me the promotion. I accepted. 6 months after that, Dante proposed with a ring that cost more than most people's houses. I said yes. Not because I'd stopped being afraid. Not because the life had become safe or normal or anything resembling legal. But because somewhere between chess games and violence, between restaurants and blood, between the woman I'd been and the person I'd become, I'd found something that felt like home. Even if that home was built on lies. I'd chosen it with my eyes open, and I'd burn the world to protect it.